Today I want to talk about a very basic but very important skill for web developers, and that is, how do you write basic commands in the terminal? So if you're going to be manipulating files, you're going to be moving between directories, creating new directories, how do you do that in the terminal? So this is a very important skill for any web developer. You're going to be running terminal commands to do things like uploading projects on Git and running shell scripts that will compile things or convert Sass into CSS, all kinds of stuff. So how do we work with the terminal? Well, I'm going to show you a few basic commands today that should help you out with this. Get you started anyway. Now, the commands I'm going to be running work on Linux and on Mac OS. Windows 10, luckily enough, has recently, not too long ago, added a Windows Linux subsystem. So you can actually be running a Linux shell on Windows. So you can do the same commands that we're doing here. Now I've got an article here. This is how to install Linux Bash Shell. Very simple instructions. Basically, you run PowerShell, you run one command, it activates the Windows Linux subsystem, and then you go to the Windows Store, you download the Ubuntu shell, and you're off and running. That's about it. So once you've done that, the link to that again down in the description, you'll be able to do all the terminal commands that we're doing here. So, terminal. First command is pwd, present working directory. What directory am I currently in? Now, in VS Code, which is the program that I'm running right here, when I create a new terminal window, like I can click on the plus sign here, create a new terminal window, toggle between them, this will, by default, open up the folder that I have open as the project right here. So I created a folder called terminal so I could do this video. That's this terminal one right here. And this path, you can see it starts with a /. That // is the root of my hard drive, my solid state drive, my main storage for my computer. That is the base level. Inside that, at the root level, there's a folder called users. Inside that, my folder called Steve. That's my user account. Inside of that will be documents. Now this is Mac OS. There'll be documents, applications, and so on. The paths will be slightly different on Windows. You'll see a letter at the beginning here, the C drive or something like that. The slashes will be the other way, but if you're running in that Linux shell, you'll see the paths the same way as they are here. There's going to be a root level, and you're going to have a user folder. So with this open, if I wanted to navigate somewhere, let's say I wanted to go up one level from the terminal folder up into this code folder. If I do this, cd ... that 2 dots means go up one level. Now you can see this says code now. I am now inside this code folder. So if I do that present working directory command again, there it is. I've gone up that one level. I want to go back down, cd terminal, and if I've typed partially, I can hit tab, and if there's only one match for that name, it's going to fill in the rest of that name for me. So the tab key is going to help you out working on the terminal here as well. The arrow keys up and down will let me go back through the previous commands that I've written. So here I am hitting the up arrow and then the down arrow. I'm going back through the history of commands that I've typed. So pwd, present working directory. cd is for change directory. The arrow keys let me go back through the old commands. Tab key will sort of auto-complete what I'm typing. If I want to see what's inside of my current folder, ls, list. Now, there's no folder or files inside of here. If I wanted to create a folder, mkdir, make directory. And then, what do I want to create? Let's create a folder called Steve. Okay, there we are. Now you can see it showed up over here. I created this folder called Steve. Now if I do the ls command, there it is, Steve. If I wanted to create a file, there's a command called touch, which lets you create a text file, or just any kind of file really, but touch. And then let's say it's going to be called readme.md. If I hit enter, there we go. Now I've created this folder called readme.md, right at the same level as that Steve folder. Now if I do an ls command, there we go. There's a file and a folder. Now I can tell by the coloring what they are. If I wanted to get a little bit more information, I can do ls-l. This is going to make everything a list, not just the contents, but details about them. So readme, that's a file. Steve's a directory, and I can tell that by this first letter D at the beginning here. That means directory. So this is a directory, and this is a file. Now, hidden files, those are files that start their name with a period. So let's do the touch command again. I'm going to create a file called .hidden. Just an arbitrary name like that. There it is. I've got a file called .hidden. If I do ls, it doesn't show up. ls-l, it still doesn't show up because it's a hidden file. If I want to see the hidden files, ls-la, or just -a, which means all files. So I want to see everything inside of that directory. Here's the folder Steve. Here's our README file. Here's that .hidden, that hidden file. It doesn't have to be called this. It just, the name starts with a period, so it's hidden. And then I've also got dot and dot dot. Remember the dot dot when we did CD? That's to go up one level. So there's a reference to the parent directory, and this is a reference to the current directory. If I do ls-la, now I'm going to see the dot, which is the current directory, the parent directory, my hidden folder, my text file, and my folder. Okay, great. So that's ls, cd, pwd, those commands. If I want to, let's say I want to delete that folder called Steve, there's an rmdir, remove directory command. That's going to delete that folder called Steve. If we do ls-la again, we can see that it is gone now. It's no longer there. If you want to remove a file, just one single file, let's remove that hidden one. We can say rm.hidden. Now if we do ls-la again, the hidden file is gone. So remove directory and remove. Remove is for a file. rmdir is for an empty folder. If you have stuff inside of it, let's create the folder again, mkdir Steve. We've got the folder created again. Now let's say I wanted to create it and everything that was inside of it. Maybe there's other folders or files. At that point, we can use this rm command with an option, rf. So we want to recursively remove everything, and we're going to force it. The force means I just don't want to have to answer yes every time, because if I do this without the F, it's going to say, hey, do you want to delete this file? Do you want to delete this file? Do you want to delete this file? If there was a whole bunch of files inside of here, let's say there's 100 files and folders inside of this, I would have to type the letter Y for yes every single time. Well, I don't want to do that. I just want to remove the folder Steve and everything inside of it recursively. And there it is. You can see that it is gone up here. Okay, now the readme.md file, that plain text file, there's nothing inside of it. It's just an empty text file. If I wanted to rename that file, what we can do is mv. This is for move. So I can take readme.md and I'm going to move it from the current location with the current name to somewhere else. If the folder Steve existed, I could do this. I could say steve/readme.md, but I don't have that folder Steve, so I can't move it over there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name to do not readme.md. There we go. And you can see up here that it was renamed. CP stands for copy. It's similar to this. So I'm going to change do not readme.md. I'm going to copy that file, all of its contents, to another location with another name. If the folder Steve was there, I could do this. I could say Steve / and then the new name. Since I don't have the folder right now, I'm just going to say we're going to create a copy of it called readme. So now I have two files, and they are just copies of each other. And that's about it. That is your base set of terminal commands that will help you out. CD is going to be the one that you use by far the most. So CD up one level, or I can say from the current folder, go somewhere else. If we, let's create that directory again. So there it is. Now I'm going to create another folder inside of that, mkdir. Inside of Steve, I'm going to create a folder called hello. So now inside of here, there's a folder called hello. I could create a file using touch, not up there, down here. Create a file called using the touch command inside of the hello folder. So inside of Steve, inside of hello, I'm going to create a file called hi.txt. And there it is. This is inside of hello. We can create one just inside of Steve, like that. There we go. So you can see that inside of Steve, we've got the folder hello and the text file by, and inside of hello, we've also got the hi.txt. All right, so that should give you everything that you need to get started with working with the terminal commands. Hope that helps you out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will answer as many as I have time for. And as always, thanks for watching.